Thank you for joining. So today I want to get back to Zen mind, beginner's mind. Let me share the screen again. I want to read the section that I talked about last week once more. Suzuki Roshi is talking about the cosmic mudra, the posture of your hands. Your hands should form the cosmic mudra. If you put your left hand on top of your right, middle joints of your middle fingers together, and touch your thumbs lightly together, as if you held a piece of paper between them, as if you held a piece of paper between them, your hands will make a beautiful oval. You should keep this universal mudra with great care, as if you were holding something very precious in your hand. Your hands should be held against your body, with your thumbs at about the height of your navel. Hold your arms freely and easily, and slightly away from your body, as if you held an egg under each arm without breaking it. First of all, my original plan was to talk about one chapter each time I talk about Zen mind, beginner's mind. And I changed this original plan. I think it's already the third time that I talk about the posture chapter. And the reason for this is that some people might have the idea that first you adjust the physical posture, after that you adjust the breath, you care about the breath, and then finally you get to the important part, and that's the mind. And from the Zen perspective, that point of view would be upside down. It's not that the mind, the most important part, comes last, but when you are actually mindful about your physical posture, adjusting the body, adjusting the posture means simultaneously adjusting your mind, and your breath will get adjusted. So although it's usually done in a step-by-step explanation. First we talk about the body, next we talk about the breath, and then we talk about the mind. Actually, it's all in the body, you could say. So that's why I'd like to take great care explaining about the posture. So today, let me get back to the cosmic mudra. I changed the camera a little bit so that you can see. I see I'm using my laptop camera. I wasn't aware of that. Sorry. And now I switched it off altogether. How about it now? Now it's better. Okay. I wasn't aware. So this would be the cosmic mudra. One thing I find interesting here is that Suzuki Roshi says that you should place the hands against the body with the thumbs being around the height of the navel. In my case, that would be like this. I find that interesting because that's an explanation that I don't hear so often from Soto teachers. Maybe you do it in some schools. I don't know about San Francisco Zen Center 2 days. But in my view, it's more the Rinzai teachers that tell you to hold the hands against the body. Often in Rinzai, you don't hold them like this, but you hold them like this, but then you place them against the body. And around 25 years ago, I was living in a Rinzai temple in Kyoto. It's called Tofukuji, and there actually, for some reason, we said Soto style like this, but there we were also told to place the hands against the body, and the thumbs were actually more or less around the height of the navel. That means that this oval is actually quite, well, big. And you can do it that way. You can try it that way if you never tried it this way. I'm one of those teachers that say, as I just said, that posture is important. But I'm not one of those that says there's only one right way to sit. And if you don't sit that way, you're doing it the wrong way. But rather, I think that in right posture, there's a certain room for exploration. In this case, it means you can try this and see how it works for you. In my experience, if the hands are actually touching the body and the thumbs are touching either the navel, or in my case, I would rather have them a little bit below the navel, more in the tanden region. It helps me more to stay awake, to be focused. It kind of helps to, well, keep the mind together. But what, from my experience, is more common in Soto Zen, for example, when you look at pictures of Sawaki Roshi sitting in Zazen, he doesn't have the hands placed against the body. They are more in this region above the feet. I would say there's at least 2 inches, about 5 centimeters between the body and where the hands lie. Sometimes people have them even lower. So when I sit, usually today, I don't have my hands touching the body, but they're more or less in this area here. And you might want to try that out and see what kind of difference it makes for you. From my experience, having them placed down here, it makes it easier for me to relax. It creates a certain space. And actually, I will get later to the eyes, but there's a kind of similar thing with the eyes. There's some people that say, for your mind to be focused, your eyes should also focus on one point. And that's true that if you focus on one point, keeping the eyes half open, makes it easier to stay concentrated. But what I do is usually I allow the whole field of vision to enter my consciousness. So I don't focus on one point, but my field of vision is totally open. And it's not that one is right, the right way, and the other one is a wrong way, but if you feel tired, it might be better at aiming at focusing, while if you feel maybe tense, you rather want to let go, you want your mind to settle down, then it might be better to open up. So in the case of the hands, opening up would mean you don't place them against the body and your thumbs are not touching the navel, but rather your hands are placed here. But if you feel tired, if you feel dizzy, you might do it the way that Suzuki Roshi recommends. That means you place them against the body and your thumbs are touching the navel. He's talking about this precious thing that you're holding, the egg, and he's using the expression of the egg again when he's talking about the arms. So the arms shouldn't touch the body, but they're slightly separate, as if you were holding an egg. Usually when Sawaki Roshi is doing this explanation, he's also talking about holding an egg here, but he's saying an ostrich egg. So the egg of an ostrich is almost the size of a rugby ball. So that means there's a certain space here again. It's not a chicken's egg, that would be quite small, but there's a certain space here. You don't have to, how do you say, spread the elbows of the arms, but also you don't press them against the upper body, but you gently hold 2 ostriches' eggs on both sides of your body. That would be more or less what I would like to say about the hands. Let me share once more and proceed a little bit further. You should not be tilted sideways, backwards or forwards. You should be sitting straight up, as if you were supporting the sky with your head. This is not just form or breathing. It expresses the key point of Buddhism. It is a perfect expression of your Buddha nature. If you want true understanding of Buddhism, you should practice this way. These forms are not a means of obtaining the right state of mind. To take this posture itself is the purpose of our practice. When you have this posture, you have the right state of mind. So there is no need to try to attain some special state. When you try to attain something, your mind starts to wander about somewhere else. Basically, the point he's trying to make here is the posture is not a means to an end. So we don't take this posture to attain a special enlightened state of mind, but adjusting the posture already is the state of mind. To find the right balance in the posture allows your mind to get adjusted. One thing that, how do you say, disturbing would be maybe, how do you say, to exaggerate it, but Suzuki Roshi here says, talks about the top of your head is supporting the sky. And I think Sawaki Roshi somewhere even says you should sit with the idea that your skull is breaking through the sky or breaking through the ceiling. And of course you get the idea that we should sit straight. The body, the upper body shouldn't be tilted left or right, neither forward nor backward, but your spine should be straight. And I also, for a long time, when I explained about Zazen, said you should stretch your spine. Normally, or not normally, but maybe a lot of the day you sit like this, your spine isn't straight. So you stretch it and you stretch your neck, and the top of your skull is maybe growing and just a little bit higher. The problem with that is, of course, you get the idea, but some people are very, how do you say, serious about adjusting the posture. When they hear, I'm supposed to break through the ceiling or I'm supposed to support the sky. I don't know how heavy the sky is, but then you sit like this and there's a lot of strength in here. Maybe you even pull up the shoulders because you have to support the sky and the sky is so heavy. And of course, that's not the idea. So I changed from saying when you sit zazen, you should stretch the spine. I changed to saying allow your spine to grow. And I often use the metaphor of the cucumber. You don't have to pull a cucumber out of the soil and you don't have to push the cucumber either. You plant this cucumber in the spring and then you allow it to grow. The cucumber can find its own way and you can use a blade of grass, you can use whatever metaphor. You don't push the plant, you don't pull the plant, but you allow the plant to grow. And I think, at least for me, that metaphor is much more helpful than the idea that I have to push the sky upwards or I have to break through the ceiling. Rather, I allow the spine that maybe a good part of the day wasn't allowed to grow. I allow it to finally grow as long as it wants to, just like a cucumber would grow in the spring and in the summer. Okay, so much from my side for today. We will continue with the posture chapter in 2 weeks again. But if you have questions, anything that you would like to share, you're allowed, you're welcome to do so. Any questions, anything you would like to share? Nothing? If there's no questions, I can also continue for a little bit. Okay, let me continue. And if you have questions in a couple of minutes, you can ask them later. So let's go to page 27 or at the bottom of 26, he says, when you try to attain something, your mind starts to wander about somewhere else. When you do not try to attain something, anything, you have your own body and mind right here. A Zen master would say, kill the Buddha. That was Rinzai in China who said that. When you meet the Buddha, kill the Buddha. Kill the Buddha if the Buddha exists somewhere else. Kill the Buddha because you should resume your own Buddha nature. So we don't look for the Buddha somewhere else. We don't look for enlightenment somewhere else. That's why Sawaki Roshi says over and over again, Zazen is good for nothing. Because when you think you're doing Zazen to attain something, you're not here anymore. And Zazen is all about coming back, returning back to this precise moment. It's not about going into some other special state of mind or becoming some special being like a Buddha. Doing something is expressing our own nature. We do not exist for the sake of something else. We exist for the sake of ourselves. This is the fundamental teaching expressed in the forms we observe. Just as for sitting, when we stand in the zendo, we have some rules. But the purpose of these rules is not to make everyone the same, but to allow each to express his own self most freely. For instance, each one of us has his own way of standing. So our standing posture is based on the proportions of our own bodies. When you stand, your heels should be as far apart as the width of your own fist. Your big toes in line with the centers of your breasts. As in Zazen, put some strength in your abdomen. Here also your hands should express yourself. Hold your left hand against your chest with fingers encircling your thumb and put your right hand over it, holding your thumb pointing downward and your forearms parallel to the floor. You feel as if you have some round pillar in your grasp, a big round temple pillar, as you cannot be slumped or tilted to the side. So here he's explaining about the Zazen posture. After you get up from Zazen, if there's another period of Zazen coming after, but usually you do a round of kinhin, walking meditation in between. And as he's explaining here, usually, at least in the tradition of Sawaki Roshi, you form a fist with your left hand that's placed against the breast. How do you say? Chest. And how do you call this point? Sternum? Sternum? Diaphragm? Sternum. Okay. And the right hand is covering this. And in other schools of Sotoshu, you hold them like this. So it's kind of a specialty of the Antaiji or Sawaki tradition that you hold them like this. In most parts of Japan, Sotoshu, you hold them like this. Whatever, the elbows form a straight line. Of course, again, you don't want to have a strength in here, so it's not like this, but also you don't let them hang down like this. And then in kinhin, you would take 1/2 step with each breath. Okay, so much from my side for today. If you have questions now, there's another chance to ask them. But if you have no questions, it's of course okay to keep silent as well.
Thank you very much. I just have a question regarding kinhin. I
Yes.
see in Taiji, the session is basically all zazen. There's no kinhin
Yes.
interspersed. Is there a reason for that? Because I do see some other temples kind of do zazen and then kinhin as kind of like they kind of like break it up that way.
But in Antaiji, there's also Zazen, Kinhin Zazen. So where's the
Okay.
difference to what you're used to?
Just what I saw on the Antaiji website was that
Yes.
Sesshin was just basically only Zazen.
Ah,
But I guess from your explanation, there is kinhin interspersed within that.
yeah,
Is
maybe
that
for
correct?
the sake of simplicity, what you find on the website could be like from 4 to 9 Zazen. At 9, there's the
Right.
first
Yeah.
meal, and
That's right.
then
Yeah.
from 10 to 3. But these 5 hours doesn't mean that we sit for 5 hours, but actually every full hour you get up and do kinhin for 15 minutes. So actually it's
Okay.
45 minutes Zazen, 15 minutes kinhin, 45 minutes Zazen, 15 minutes kinhin again.
Got it. Thank you.
So in Antaiji, the very first hour of the day, it's a full 60-minute hour, but all the other periods are 45 minutes.
Okay.
We don't sit for 5 hours. Don't be worried.
Good.
Yeah.
From your
I have
experience,
a
how do you what do you find the differences between Zazen and kinhin?
Probably most people have that experience, and I share the experience. It's much easier to stay with the here and now, or to stay with the body and breath during kinhin, because you have to connect your steps with the breath. So your mind, it's almost impossible to wander off for a couple of minutes. Of course, you can also do a certain amount of thinking, but it's much easier to stay here in this moment during kinhin. While during Zazen, it's much easier. You just sit, but because you really don't have much to do, except looking at the wall. And of course, you know that you're supposed to stay here, but your mind wanders off quite fast. Often it's only during the end when the pain becomes so big that you are so, how do you say, concerned about the pain, and
Sure.
when's
Yeah.
the bell gonna ring, that you have no other option than to return to reality. But that's why, for example, when I lived in the park here in Osaka, that was 20 years ago, I lived for 6 months in the park, and we did actually only one session at the time, Rohatsu session at the beginning of December. And also, we were sitting directly on the ground, so the knees started to hurt quite soon. And so I decided, at the time in Antaiji, we were sitting 50 minutes and doing only 10 minutes of kinhin. And I said, let's do 20 minutes. Let's sit for 40 minutes and have 20 minutes of kinhin. But actually, my experience was, when kinhin becomes too long, especially in the cold of December, it's also quite exhausting. One thing is the cold, and also for 10 minutes it can be quite refreshing, but then when it becomes 20 minutes, at least in my experience, then I was kind of waiting for the end of kinhin. When can I finally get back on my cushion and I have it warm and can wrap my feet up in my koromo? So when I became the abbot of Antaiji, I decided on 15 minutes as a kind of, well, compromise between the 10 minutes, which for me were a little bit too short, like 15 minutes Zazen and 10 minutes Kinhin. I found that 10 minutes is a little bit short, but then 20 minutes of Kinhin are quite long. So we settled in Antaiji 45 minutes of Zazen, 15 minutes of Kinhin. And of course, it's not that Zazen is more important than Kinhin. It's also not that Kinhin is better than Zazen, but both. And I think it's about the balance. So in Antaiji, we have 15 hours of Zazen, Kinhin included, but actually 1/4 of that is Kinhin. That means, what does that mean? 3 hours, almost 4 hours of kinhin, and maybe 12 hours, 11 hours of zazen. And it seems to be a good balance to me. If we would have more kinhin, it would be actually maybe a little bit more tiring. But then if you have too much zazen, that's also tiring.
Great. Thank you.
Thank you.
I have a question about chanting, because
Yes.
originally I started doing Zazen in the Kwanum school, so there were some chants there, and I wanted to ask about people's view on chanting. I don't know about the other people, if they are chanting anything. And I started watching Rumho Sensei's videos about the Heart Sutra. And if you will talk about maybe Heart Sutra, if we could approach that topic at some point, if people are interested. I just want to bring up the topic.
Mm-hmm. So in Antaiji, there's no chanting during session at all, but in a lot of Japanese temples, and maybe it's the same in Kwanum School in Korea, you do chanting also during session. And of course, it's okay, like whatever school you are, you just follow the way. It was the idea of Uchiyama Roshi that during session we keep silent, we don't chant at all. But chanting is also a good practice to just, well, follow the sound, so to speak. About the Heart Sutra, I actually did a series of lectures on the Heart Sutra in this Monday Zazen class, but it's already 2 or 3 years ago. But you find all of the old videos on my channel. Heart Sutra, maybe the basic idea, or maybe the first point that's maybe not often mentioned so much. The Heart Sutra, interestingly, doesn't start with the Buddha. Normally, a sutra starts with, "Thus have I heard. One day the Lord Buddha was traveling through a certain part of India, and he said he met a certain person, and the person asked a question, and the Buddha would answer." And this sutra starts out of a sudden with Avalokiteshvara, the Bodhisattva, who practiced deep paramita. And the question is, well, who is this Bodhisattva? Who is Avalokiteshvara? And what is deep prajna paramita? And my answer to that would be, deep prajna paramita is the sixth of the paramitas. The first one is dana, letting go, giving something. The second, keeping to the precepts. Precepts also means that you have to let certain things go. You might want to, I don't know, indulge in eating meat or alcohol or whatever, but the silas tell you to let that go. Number four means to make an effort and to persevere when it gets hard. Also, this needs to let go of yourself. Number 5 is practice of Zazen, and Dogen Zenji says letting go of your body and mind means to practice Zen, to just sit. You have to let go of your body and mind. And number 6 is prajna, paramita, the wisdom part. What does it mean? It means to let go of, open the hand of thoughts, would Uchiyama Roshi say. So prajna paramita means to let go of everything, let go of yourself, open the hands of thought. So who is doing that? Who is Avalokiteshvara? Well, the answer, of course, the Zen answer is you are Avalokiteshvara in this moment. You're the one who has to realize form is emptiness, emptiness is form. But if you're really interested in the details, my interpretation of the Heart Sutra, I would ask you to maybe look at the older videos. I think it was 2 years ago or so that I talked about the Heart Sutra. You find them on my English video channel.
And you still have the same opinion, like 2 years ago?
Yes, I think my opinion on the Heart Sutra didn't change so much in the last 2 years.
Okay.
It's not that my opinion never changes, but at least, yeah, concerning the Heart Sutra, I don't think it changed so much. Any other questions? Anything else? Or maybe if somebody has an opinion about chanting. Timea was also asking about everybody else's opinion on chanting. If you have something you want to share on chanting, the importance of chanting. you could do so. If not, it's already 9 o'clock here in Japan. So if there's no more questions, nothing that you would like to ask today, I hope to see you again next week, 24th, November 24th. And on that day in a week, I will talk about Sawaki Roshi's quotes from To You again. And then in 2 weeks, we get back to Zen mind, beginner's mind. So thank you everyone for joining. Was that an important chat? No. Kenza, thank you for joining. Hope to see you all again next week. And also, of course, special thanks to Xuan for hosting us here. Xuan-san, I don't know if you want to announce it today. Xuan-san sent me an email today that she's starting breathing exercises every day of the week, every work day except Mondays, and people from the Zazen class are also invited. Did I get that right?
Yeah, I start a pranayama and zazen class from like 10 minutes later. If you want to join, you can join my class.
Okay, on Mondays as well, or only Tuesday to Friday?
Monday also, from Monday
Oh, okay,
Yeah.
every weekday from
Yeah.
10 past 9 Japanese time to 10 o'clock.
Yes, except Mondays. Mondays.
I see. So, okay, that's the confusion. So not Mondays, but Moondays. So no full moon and no new moon. I get it. So if you want to get the access data, maybe you write an email to Xuan. Contact her and she can give you the data to get into the prajna, the pranya class. Okay, thank you, Xuan-san, for offering us this opportunity, and thank you, everybody, for joining. See you again.